Skolkova, you're going to spring on me. I don't know who that is.
All right. So last week, I said something very vague about a new problem that it turns out the Clintons may have. And I had said that they're linking them to the Russian hypersonic missile program. And so I spent the week reading articles about it. I read about 4 articles, but it's all basically the same series of facts. No matter what you read about it, here's the basis. During the when Obama decided to reset the relationship with Russia, that was one of his goals. The point man on the project was Hillary Clinton. And one of her goals was to get investment into Russia. That was for we were going to help the Russians by investing in their country.
The idea being that if you treat Russia like a solid citizen of the world, they'll behave better? Is that the deal?
Something like that, yeah. And so it was a way of, let's assume that it was for what you said. Now, the Russians under Putin had a place called Skolkovo. Skolkovo was supposed to be the Russian Silicon Valley. So what the Russians wanted to do was to bring in as much Western technology as possible into this one area, I don't know if it's a city or where it is, and then they would have their own technology and it would help their country. And the person in the United States that was doing the most to support it was Hillary Clinton. In fact, there's exhaustive records of meetings that her and Bill had with people at Skolkovo. And Skolkovo naturally contributed millions to the Clinton Foundation. So it turns out that Skolkovo's first thing they did was get technology that they used to create hypersonic weapons. That was one of the first projects they had. Now, what we're facing right now is arguably one of the most dangerous situations the U.S. has ever been in, because Russia now has a missile that if they get enough of these, they can wipe out our entire nuclear arsenal within 15 minutes and then leave us defenseless. And our missiles are slower than theirs because we don't have a hypersonic missile, and apparently theirs is just on the verge of being perfected. And it all started with the exchange of technology with Skolkovo, and apparently a lot of the technology that they got to develop this was U.S. technology. So, this does not look good for Rick's hero, Hillary Clinton. And this is coming out more and more. Like, the right-wing conspiracists that Rick would say are crazy.
Well, at this point, I say, all right, show me an article.
Okay. The article here is all right. At this point, this is what Rick does to argue with me. I know his tactic. What he does is he says, I don't believe that. You got to show me an article. That's just horseshit. And then I show him an article, and he says, well, this was written by a Republican. It can't possibly be true. And then I say, but what about the facts in the article? He says, well, show me those. Then I have to spend a week finding actual government documents, some of which may not even be published. Some of them may be CIA or something that can't be revealed to the public. And I said, well, listen, all I have is Senate testimony and this and that. And then what Rick does when I present him with that is he'll say, Well, that doesn't prove anything.
All right, so can we short circuit this whole process?
Well, no,
Would
we
you
can't
describe
because
that?
I'll tell you what my source for this
Okay,
is.
good, all right.
Okay, United States Army report.
Okay.
Yeah, United States Army and the FBI.
Oh,
They both released a report in 2013 that said that we have to do everything we can to avoid entangling U.S. technology with Skolkovo. And the reason is that Skolkovo is now, what they're doing is, it's industrial and technological espionage, but it's out in the open. And they're basically buying, with the help of American politicians like Hillary Clinton, they're buying technology that will give them advantages in particularly hypersonic missile technology that will be a mortal danger to the United States. U.S. Army report. Now, at this point, I anticipated what Rick's next move might be. He might say, show me that U.S. Army report.
Nah, I don't need to do that, but I do have a question.
Okay.
After the report came out, did we stop dealing with Skolkovo?
No. Nothing happened.
What did happen?
Nothing. Nothing was done.
Well,
And
Was it then show me that or tell me about that?
well, they ended up getting the hypersonic weapons. So nothing was done. There was no uproar. Nobody resigned. Nobody said, wait a minute, we've got to stop this. Skolkovo is thriving. They've firmly entangled themselves with our technology. They stole a lot of it. And now we're facing this mortal threat. And it was all started with a bright idea of having a reset with the Russians that was promoted by Obama and Hillary Clinton.
did they have a
Alright, so-
button, big old button too?
Yeah, she had a button. She had an easy button that
Yeah.
you see in Staples commercials. It was stupid. But, all right, so...
Well, you didn't explain it. She showed up with Putin and said, this is our reset button. And this is what we ended up with.
All right, so I have this to say. A couple of things. At this point, I think it's a truth universally acknowledged by liberals and conservatives that Russia stinks. That Russia is bad at almost everything except sabotaging other countries. That Russia has...
Yeah, we know this. You did this last week.
All right. Though I would say that possibly 8 years ago that it wasn't as clear. 10 years ago, it wasn't as clear that Russia was just a griftocracy.
I think it was clear to anybody that gave it any thought. And the fact that the Clinton Foundation received millions of dollars from Skolkovo is just another thing I keep trying to tell you about.
Well, Skolkovo is this. It's not a corporation.
It
what
is.
the hell is it?
Okay, there is an actual president of Skolkovo. I've got his name on my computer. And this fellow and his colleagues met with Bill Clinton. And remember I was able to prove to you that Clinton received $500,000?
Yeah, that's not.
Okay, it turns out that was given to him by Russian oligarchs, among them Skolkovo, the people working at Skolkovo. And it turns out that the $145 million that was given to the Clinton Foundation all came from the executives of Uranium One. Now you may say to yourself, why is it that Uranium One, the Russian uranium company that ended up owning our uranium mines, why would they give $145 million if it was as a bribe? Why would they bribe people with that kind of money? Why not just keep the $145 million? Don't interrupt me. Because Uranium One made billions off of that uranium. The uranium industry makes billions. So if they can spend $100 million as a bribe, they'll do it. But there's more.
No, hold on.
Skolkovo was also involved with the deal. So Skolkovo their goal was to get American military technology, according to the U.S. Army and the FBI.
Okay. So
Now I have a final thing that I'm going to say, because before Rick can go in and make a big excuse, that I'm sure it was well intentioned. Hillary would never do anything but help America. Okay, fine. But this is why I believe the deep state is putting up such a fight and accusing Trump of being a Russian spy. Because it turned, and by the way, right now, at this moment, Tulsi Gabbard.
Oh, come on, don't fucking.
Tulsi Gabbard, just don't tell me what I can say. It turns out that Tulsi Gabbard, who is a congressperson from Hawaii, was running for president for the Democrat nomination right now. She's a beautiful woman, and she's a conservative Democrat. And Hillary Clinton, after saying that Trump was a Russian spy, actually accused Tulsi Gabbard of being a Russian spy. She did this like 3 months ago.
She didn't call her a spy.
So Trump,
I'm sure.
Rick is going to say, oh no, I'm sure she just meant that Tulsi Gabbard was a very nice person. You're right, Rick. No. She just said that. Sorry, I got it all wrong.
Because what you like to do.
Okay. No. Let me finish the statement. Then you can come in and say that everything's fine. So Tulsi Gabbard's actually suing Hillary Clinton right now. There's a lawsuit saying, look, you can't just go around telling everybody that you don't like that they're mixed up with the Russians. So Tulsi Gabbard's actually suing the bitch. But my point is that I think that the reason all this, that the first thing Hillary always does is accuse her enemies of being Russian spies, is because she's done so much for the Russians. She got them these uranium mines, she got them hypersonic missile technology, and she's received hundreds of millions of dollars from the Russian military technology people and from their uranium companies. And so what does she do? She accuses her enemies of being Russian spies, and then the media goes along with it. Yeah, it's Trump, he's a spy. And then Rick comes in here and says, well, Hillary would never do anything bad, and it's Trump, he's the Russian spy. So now explain this to me again, Rick. Why Hillary would
one of your rhetorical things.
Bobby Fischer has Rick on check.
Right. No, he fucking doesn't. Come
It's-
on, director. No.
I see it's.
Tell me why it's good that she did this. Why was it a good idea
All right,
to give Skolkovo Western technology?
It's not a good idea to give Skolkovo Western technology.
But that is what she did.
Then at some point I have to read an article.
She was a major proponent there. When Bill Clinton went to Russia, he met with Skolkovo.
No, let me finish. Get even one point out. One thing you like to do rhetorically is confuse being a Russian spy with being a Russian dupe.
Ooh, good point.
And so I don't think Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian spy. I think there's a possibility that Tulsi Gabbard may run third party, though I doubt she'll even do that. Like a Nader or a Anderson 30 years ago, or who was the little guy who talked like this?
Perot.
Ross Perot, or more recently, spoiler, Dr. Jill Stein. She may run on her own, not as the party nominee. And when shit like that happens, you can make a circumstantial case, similar to the case that you make against Hillary and stuff, that the Russians like that shit and they will help. It doesn't mean that Tulsi Gabbard made a deal with Russia for help.
No, that's what Hillary says. Hillary actually says that Tulsi Gabbard's mixed up with the Russians. And she doesn't say it the way you said it. She says that she's actually got Russian backing.
You can have Russian backing and not be a spy. Because the Russians, it's pretty clear that among their, it's called rat fucking. The technical term is rat fucking. When you do dirty tricks against the opponent in a political race, the technical term is rat fucking. I'm sorry, but it is. And so if you find somebody who is going to create dissension among the party you don't want to win, and you direct support to that person, you with or without that person's
But
knowledge.
that's not what happened, Rick. Tulsi Gabbard was accused of being mixed up with the Russians knowingly by Hillary Clinton.
Then I'll have to see that.
And so was Trump, according to your belief, right? Trump was a Russian spy.
No, because you like to say that everybody's calling somebody a Russian. There's a difference between.
I know, but Rick, everybody that's watching this
No.
sees how confused you are. It's like you think that you can say, no. I'm not saying Trump's a spy. I'm saying he's just a dupe. Yeah, that's a big difference there.
There is
Don't accuse me.
Tennessee Williams now.
No.
I don't know what it is,
It's
but-
like, it's so dumb, Rick.
It's not
deep
dumb.
beneath you because no one out there is buying it. Nobody gives a flying fuck. I've been telling you this for 3 years. When I say Trump's a Russian spy, instead of dealing with the fact that Skolkovo got hypersonic weapons technology from us because of Hillary Clinton, you go on this big rampage about, well, he's not technically a spy. He's merely a dupe. Nobody
Right, so-
cares whether
all
he's a
right,
spy or a dupe.
All right, at this point,
Rick, she gave weapons technology
at this point,
to the
you
Russians.
got to show me a fucking article, and we'll take a break.
Okay. Here.
All right.
All right.
Shut it down for a second.
Rolling.
All right. So I'm just going to read the article. It's from something called John B. Wells News.
Okay, I could find the same thing in the Washington Examiner.
Yeah, okay.
The Daily Caller. It's all
Yeah.
these articles are.
Yeah, but let's read the article.
Okay, read the
A Moscow-based technology initiative funded in part by the Russian government funneled tens of millions of dollars into the Clinton Foundation while Hillary Clinton was serving as Secretary of State. As President Obama's top diplomat, Clinton oversaw and facilitated the State Department's failed 5-year project to reset U.S.-Russia relations, which spurred the creation of Skolkovo, a research facility known as Russia's version of Silicon Valley. Clinton cash author Peter Schweitzer wrote in a new report titled From Russia with Money. Yet 17 of the 28 American, European, and Russian companies that participated in Skolkovo were Clinton Foundation donors or sponsored speeches for former President Clinton. The amount of money given to the foundation from key Skolkovo partners ranges from $6.5 to $23.5 million, according to Clinton Foundation data. John Chambers, the head of Cisco, the U.S. company, and member of the Skolkovo Foundation, for example, donated between $1 and $5 million to the Clinton Foundation. Intel, who's formerly headed by Craig Barrett, who served on the board of the Skolkovo Foundation, has given between $250,000 and $500,000 million to the Clinton Foundation. All right. The FBI and the U.S. Army determined that Skolkovo had transformed into a dangerous pathway for Russian technological espionage and boosted the Russian military's technological capabilities. That's basically the article.
I could go on. This is very important.
Oh, wait, there's,
Okay.
sorry, I missed, okay.
Here, let me find.
This is a whole other article.
Yeah, well, there's 10 of them.
Yeah,
I
but
just
you just
found
showed
you
me
one.
All right,
Here.
okay, but
All right, no. All right, here it is. The U.S. Army Foreign Military Studies Program at Fort Leavenworth issued a report in 2013 about the security implications of Skolkovo. The report declared that the purpose of Skolkovo was to serve as a vehicle for worldwide technology transfer to Russia in the areas of information technology, biomedicine, energy, satellite, and space technology, and nuclear technology. Okay. The U.S. Army report on Skolkovo assessed. Okay. Turn off the camera. I want to find the exact thing.
Rolling.
According to the U.S. Air Force, the United States is vulnerable to future attack by hypersonic missiles from China and Russia, and is falling behind in this technology. China and Russia are already flight testing high-speed maneuvering weapons that may endanger U.S. forces and the United States itself, an executive summary report says. These weapons appear to operate in regimes of speed and altitude with maneuverability that could frustrate existing missile defense constructs and weapons capabilities. According to the 2012 Army report, Skolkovo is an ambitious enterprise aiming to promote technology transfer generally by inbound direct investment and occasionally through selected acquisitions. As such, Skolkovo is arguably an overt alternative to clandestine industrial espionage, with the additional distinction that it can achieve such a transfer on a much larger scale and more efficiently. Implicit, all right, so it goes on and on and on, but it's basically what I said, okay?
All right,
all right.
So let me see the article and just shut it down for a sec because I got to read it. So you showed me these articles.
Yes.
And the Army reports that says Skolkovo is basically a fake. That it's not. They're not really trying to develop a, or if they're not, the Russians aren't trying to develop their own Silicon Valley. They're just using this as a sham to steal technology, right?
That is basically the Army report, and
Okay.
that this technology is very specific.
All right, but
It's-
so then you said that after the report,
It actually led to the development of hypersonic weapons.
okay.
Specifically, if I can find you an article, I read it this morning. I don't remember if I kept it on my computer, but it says that they were specifically interested in the development of hypersonic weapons, and that technology was something we were working on.
Okay, but I don't see anything in the articles you showed me that says that the information transfer continued after the Army report came out.
Okay.
So
So you're saying that Hillary Clinton stormed into Obama's office and said, heck's sakes, we've got to do something about this. Stop it immediately.
no, I'm not saying
Well, guess
that.
what? Guess what, Rick? That didn't happen.
But how do you know that they didn't stop it?
Because
nothing-
they got the hypersonic weapons.
How do you know the information transfer didn't happen before the Army report came out?
Because the Skolkovo began in 2010.
Yeah.
In 2011, they started their hypersonic weapons program, and they were particularly interested in the technology that we had on that subject. The report from the Army was written in 2012.
And released in 2013.
So that's the chronology.
All right, but you don't know what happened after 2012, 2013. I assume that once that comes out, and you can't show me otherwise.
Right.
that-
Or maybe I can.
well,
But I can't prove a negative. If nothing happened, nothing happened, Rick.
well, you're just saying that, well, the article came out and they ignored it.
Well, I know that they ignored it because nothing happened. Did you read anything about it? Did you hear one word in the media about it? Did they stop developing hypersonic weapons?
No, but it doesn't mean that the U.S. kept giving them technology.
Well, nothing happened. Skolkovo and the U.S. kept working together after this report was released.
How do you know that?
Because we didn't have any sanctions against Russia until 2016 under Obama.
But how do you know that the information transfer continued?
Because this was part of our deal with Russia, of opening up Russia.
Yeah, but the article says
okay.
that by 2011, the initiative was dead, that they realized that this reset wasn't going to work.
No, it didn't say that at all.
One of the articles you showed me says it was a failed initiative by 2011.
No, it was a failed initiative in the sense that they were trying to make a reset in Russo-American relations. But Russo-American relations continued to deteriorate, and in 2016, Obama started to put sanctions on Russia.
Yeah, but you got to show me what happened between 2013 and 2016.
Nothing.
You
There is no record of Russian-American relations going bad until 2016, when Obama started to put sanctions on Russia. And that's, by the way, when Putin pulled out of the uranium deal where they were going to destroy their plutonium and highly enriched uranium.
All right. So anyway, you guys like to construct. Anyway.
Rick, look. Here's the
No,
thing.
hold on. No, you fucking hold on for a second. Because this article says that all these companies that were in bed with Russia gave money to the Clinton Foundation.
Okay.
And it mentions two companies.
Do you need me to show you the accounting or something?
No, you mentions.
You believe me?
It mentions Intel and
Okay.
it mentions Cisco.
Okay.
So it makes the case that somehow Russia made these companies donate to the Clinton Foundation. I bet you if you took a look at the top Fortune 500 US-based companies, that more than half of them donated to the Clinton Foundation. And they didn't donate to the fucking Clinton Foundation because Russia told them to. They donated because they needed to do charity, these corporations, and one of the charities they happened to contribute to was the Clinton
It's all
Foundation.
perfectly understandable.
It
I'm
is
sure
fucking-
nothing is wrong.
So, but
Why didn't they
but when
contribute-
when
Rick,
fucking
Rick, why didn't- Rick,
listen
why
to me,
didn't
when
they contribute
Cisco
to-
and Intel
Uh-huh.
contribute to the Clinton Foundation,
That's
it's
perfectly
not
okay, right?
it's not because Russia told them to.
No, you know that, right? You've got proof?
Do you have proof
an-
otherwise?
Well, Rick, if you're a Russian company, why don't you contribute to charities in Russia?
Intel and Cisco are U.S. companies.
Okay.
U.S. companies
That
contribute
we're
to.
working with Skolkovo.
Yeah, they're trying to, ostensibly, they think they're trying to make a Silicon Valley in Russia.
So they're all hot to do it, and you want to help them, right, Rick?
Now this it becomes nonsensical.
Well, no.
American companies donate to an American charity, and you say it's because of Russia.
Well, why?
That
are they,
sounds
why are
like
they,
horse
why,
shit.
Why are these companies working with a Russian technology company that's bringing American technology to Russia? Why are they doing that, Rick? Wouldn't a reasonable person say, bad idea?
I'm not sure they would have in 2010.
But that's what they did.
Yeah, I'm just saying that in 2010, I don't remember what it was like in 2010.
Well, Rick, we were mortal enemies of Russia since 1917.
Yeah, but they're trying now. The reset turned out to be a shitty idea.
Yes,
But-
but I knew that, and so did all the other Republicans know that. We didn't need to have this happen.
Then why do all your fucking senators go to Moscow on July 4th of 2017?
They're all Russian spies, Rick. You know that, right?
Well, just nobody's
Along
ever.
with Tulsi Gabbard and Trump, we're all Russian spies.
You love to say that. and-
Rick,
but, like,
Rick, let me ask you a question. Now, here's the problem. I've shown you a U.S. Army report.
Yeah.
I've shown you government documents month after month, and all you say is, nah. Hillary, she's great. She wouldn't do anything like that. So what is it that you really think? That this is just, I'm making all this up?
No, here's what
the technology was transferred from Russia from the U.S. to Skolkovo.
All right, let me be clear. Let me be clear because you take what I say and you fucking.
But nothing was wrong? Everything was fine. You don't even raise an eyebrow.
No, okay, some of your
Everything's
shit
fine.
is retarded.
Some of my shit is retarded. Sweetheart,
No, shut up, let me talk now, let me
No,
talk
you
now. No, because.
You can't say my shit is
are-
retarded and not let me respond.
I get to say why. So they try to do a reset in 2010. It starts in 2010.
Perfectly understandable.
Well, in retrospect, stupid.
Well, I knew it was stupid at the time, but go on, Rick.
All right. So, okay, good for you. What's
Well,
going on?
why is it that I'm smarter than Hillary Clinton? That's the thing I don't understand. And why is it when all this is exposed,
But no, let me finish.
you still think it was a good idea?
You love to put words and thoughts in my mouth and thoughts in my head that I'm not saying.
Are you suspicious about this? Do you think it might have been a bad idea?
When I say it was dumb, it probably means that I think it was a bad idea.
Okay.
All right, now shut up for a second. Now, so this information transfer goes on, starting in 2010, 2011. The U.S. Army report says that they're just fucking with you to steal information. This report comes out in 2013. I want to know what happened after the report comes out.
Well, you prove to me. I've just given you the documents that showed it happened. Now I'm going to give you some homework.
No, hold on.
You give
No,
me a
I've
document.
got one more
You give
point.
me a document that Hillary Clinton stormed into Obama's office and says, "We've got to stop this to save America."
No, because your shit is.
No, you provide me a document.
No, I've got one
You
more-
give me something.
No, I've got one more thing, and it's in that article there. This your article claims that all these companies associated with Skolkovo gave money to the Clinton Foundation.
Okay.
Yet the article says they were fucking American companies.
Somewhere, somewhere.
Okay, but yeah,
The Uranium One companies were all Russian.
okay, but
And Skolkovo was headed by a Russian oligarch named Viktor Vekselberg of the Renova Company.
what I'm saying.
The Renova Company's a Russian company, Rick. I'm sorry.
Let me see that fucking article. again, 'cause
Victor,
it's-
the name Viktor Veskelberg.
Yeah, let me see the other
Vekselberg
article.
of Renova, Russian company. Should these Russian companies be giving millions to the Clinton Foundation, Rick?
Hold on.
This is like shocking. Can't believe it. He thought it was American.
17 of the 28 American, European, and Russian companies that participated in Skol. So 28 companies
Yes.
participated in the Skolkovo initiative.
Okay.
17 of those companies gave money to the Clinton Foundation.
And some of them were Russian.
Okay.
So that's okay with you, right, Rick? You want the Russians to be giving money to the Clinton
The
Foundation,
way to
right?
do it mathematically is to see what percentage of companies who weren't associated with Skolkovo gave money to the Clinton Foundation.
Rick,
Because the two companies
Rick,
the two
Rick,
companies mentioned by name in this article are Intel and Cisco.
and Renova. Viktor Vekselberg, Renova, Russian company.
Well, this article.
It's in the first paragraph, Rick.
Not in this article.
Deal with it.
No, it just mentions two American companies. So I believe you that Russian companies donated, but show me that.
Rick, did you change the article?
I went to the article you started off with.
All right.
You showed me
Look.
first.
Here it is. Viktor Vekselberg of Renova, a Russian company.
Okay.
Now, also a company called Renaissance Capital, a Renaissance bank with ties to the Clinton. That's another Russian company. Why are Russian companies giving millions of dollars to your candidate, Rick? To her foundation? Why are they doing that, Rick? Do you think that's smart? Did you like that? Did you say, oh, that's fine, no problem, nothing
Here's
to see
what I'll
here?
do. Here's what I'll do. Over the next week, I always say I'm going to do something. I
And
never
then
do.
you never do it.
But let's see. Let me see.
Why,
if I-
why don't you just look? I'm
No,
asking
but
you-
let me. I'm going to find out.
I'm going to speak now.
No, let me finish, and then you can speak. So I'm going to find out exactly who donated to the Clinton Foundation. What the overall scope of,
Yeah,
because a shitload of companies.
I know.
It was a big.
Okay, Rick, you're looking to math to save you.
Yeah, I do that.
Okay, and here's why that's wrong. Even if 1,000 American companies donated to the Clinton Foundation, but one Russian company did, it would still mean that Clinton was getting money from the Russians to help transfer American technology that was ultimately used for military purposes. So it's not a math issue. Now, doesn't this give you pause, Rick? See, now, don't interrupt me, because I have a question. For months now, I've been giving you documents about Uranium One, about Skolkovo, FBI reports, Army report tonight. And in every case, the strange coincidence of millions of dollars going to the Clinton Foundation or to Clinton personally, and this strange thing of benefits going to the Russians. Either the uranium company happens to get approval, or their technology company happens to get vital technology that the Army says they shouldn't be getting. And Hillary somehow gets approval of this or is actively supporting it. And Rick just goes, no problem, nothing to see, don't answer the question. If it was me, and it was my brother, I would say, brother to Lance, what's going on here? This is concerning to me. This is odd. This is a strange series of coincidences, and I can't get away from it. I can't get away from the fact that these are Russian companies, and you are my brother, and you seem to be getting money, and stuff seems to be going to you. But Rick just goes, nothing to see here. It's fine. You're just a conspiracist, Lance. It's all horse shit. And then Rick says, it's the math.
No,
Don't worry
hold
about
on.
it. I wonder, at what point are you going to say, you know, Lance, that's really a series of odd coincidences. Maybe there is something wrong.
No, I just said, I would say some of it is concerning, and some of it seems like horse shit, and I'm going to go home, and I actually will do homework and look at.
I gave you this book. It's called Clinton Cash.
I
Rick
know.
didn't read it because it would upset him, so he didn't read it. Now, you people out there, can you see it clearly?
Yes.
You can read it. This is just one. This is half of the things the Clinton people have done. This is half of them. By the way, it turns out this week we found just for those of you, now this is really scary.
And also, Hillary hasn't been Secretary of State for 7 years.
Well, that explains everything. Anyway, it turns out that the man that was accused of stealing information from the Democratic National Committee was a fellow named Seth Rich. Okay?
No, you're going to bring in that a guy died? No,
Rick,
then you're totally in fucking Hannity land.
I'm going to speak now. This fella was the most likely person to have released secret information from the DNC, the Democratic National Committee. And within months of him being identified as the most logical person to have done this, he was murdered on the streets of
All right,
Washington.
it's fucking Hannity bullshit.
And nobody,
This is
would you
retarded.
shut up while I'm talking? He was murdered, and nobody ever found out who murdered him or why. And they left his wallet. It's like they didn't take anything. Now, here's why it's not Hannity bullshit. Okay, Rick?
But it is.
Okay, Rick.
It's crazy, like how bad I am at
Rick,
defending
Rick,
shit
Rick,
because we're now in
Rick,
the land of self-rich conspiracy.
Except guess what? This week they found out that Peter Strzok was talking about it in his emails. And Peter Strzok was third in charge, was one of the top 5 FBI people. And he was saying in an email that they just discovered, it was just released, that the murder of Seth Rich was not to be investigated. that he had deliberately made the decision that the FBI would not investigate Seth Rich's murder. But they were willing to put spies in the Trump campaign, which Rick thinks is perfectly reasonable. Because, as you know, Trump was a Russian spy.
Shut down for a sec so I can read this. Hold on, because.
Well, just one.
No, fucking,
Okay.
not while I fucking.
Oh, turn it off. I'm not going to talk if he doesn't want me to.
If you Google, except why are you going? You've got a search engine called Go.go. What the hell is that?
It's Google sells all your information and tracks everything you do, and Go.go doesn't do that. Once you put it in, it forgets you. And
Okay.
it doesn't give your information to people.
That's interesting.
It doesn't give your search history.
Okay.
It's a good commercial for them right there.
All right, just, I Googled, is Clinton cash accurate? And I went to the Wikipedia article, of course. Factcheck.org found Schweitzer's assertion that Clinton, as Secretary of State, could have stopped Russia from buying a company with extensive uranium mining operations to be false due to Obama's decision on it. PolitiFact found the assertion
Can I
that Clinton...
answer that?
Let me just...
No. You're going to say a series of things that people
No,
are
just two.
No,
Just
they're just
two.
going to be glazed over. I'll do it one at a time.
Okay, all right, okay.
Nobody in Peter Schweitzer's book, Clinton Cash, said that Hillary could have had the power to say no. But she had the power to go to Obama and tell him, don't do this, it's wrong. And she didn't do that. She let it go through. And even when it was brought to her attention, she didn't do anything. So they're lying to you, Rick. She had the power to advise Obama not to let this go through.
Okay, so Schweitzer claimed, the author,
Yes.
that Clinton had played a central role in the decision to approve Rosatom's purchase of uranium-1, but as Pilkington notes, 8 other agencies in addition to the State Department made the call to approve the purchase, and no evidence exists that Clinton herself had participated in the discussions.
Okay, Rick.
And if
So wait. Let me respond.
Okay.
Okay? The reason no evidence exists is because CFIUS, the government organization under the Treasury Department, keeps all of their discussions secret. Okay, so they're lying to you again. That's why there's no evidence. However, as the deal was going through, her assistant approved it. Now, if her assistant approved it, the buck stops with Hillary Clinton. You don't, if your assistant approves something, you've approved it.
PolitiFact found that the assertion that Clinton changed her views on a nuclear deal with India in response to donations to her family's foundation to be false. That's a whole separate thing.
I'm not talking about that, but she did refuse to allow China to buy a uranium deal, and then later on, Russia donates money to her foundation, and she approved of Russia doing the uranium deal, the same thing. And it just so happens, coincidentally, that the Chinese did not contribute money to her, but the Russians did. In fact, the Russians contributed $145 million to her foundation, and the Chinese did not. So she specifically fought against China getting the mine deal, but she approved the Russia deal, mine deal. Okay? Explain that.
I will.
And also explain why this fucking Wikipedia is lying to you. They're not telling you things that I know after just reading like 4 or 5 articles.
Well, it just cites.
They're just lying to you, Rick. Do you want to be lied to? Do you think, I mean, does this make any sense to you at all? We have her on record as fighting China from getting mining rights in the United States and then approving Russia. They don't tell you that. They're lying. They're deceiving you by omission. Do you want to be lied to?
I'm going. Wikipedia cites factcheck.org and PolitiFact.
And they're lying. They're both lying. They didn't say anything about the China deal that I just told you right this second. And they didn't tell you that CFIUS's notes are secret. And they didn't tell you that her assistant approved the deal. And she could have told her assistant, don't approve that. He was working for her.
Fine. All right.
All right, I'm done. All right, we're done.
Okay.
Do you want to
Nah.
know where to get money instead of give money? No. Okay.
What did she ever do for you? I mean, you're the last guy in America that's
No,
saying
because-
the Clintons were
No,
honest.
you love to say that too. You love to fucking say that I'm the last person when 60% of, generally when I say something, it's a belief shared by 60% of the people surveyed.
Rick, not a single human being in the United States thinks that Hillary Clinton was honest. Nobody. Nobody thinks that Clinton or her husband were honest.
No, that's,
Nobody thinks that.
well, they think that he lied about blowjobs.
He lied. Everybody thinks that the two of them were dishonest. That's why they didn't win.
Well, why is Bloomberg?
All the Bernie supporters said, we're not voting for that dishonest bitch who stole the election from Bernie. And now the Democrats are going to try and do it again.
Why is Bloomberg going to make her a VP then? It's up in.
Okay, here's the deal. Guys, as of now, the Democrats just, the New Hampshire primary was just won by Bernie Sanders. Okay? Now, if Bloomberg can't buy the California primary in early March, then Sanders is going to be the candidate. So it's going to be straight up communism versus capitalism. And Rick's going to vote for the communist. That's what it's boiling down to. He'll be the only one. The mass of Americans are going to say, you know what, we're Democrats, but we're not communists. But Rick's going to die on that hill with the communists. He's going to say, you know what, I got to vote Democrat, even if it's Bernie Sanders.
Don't we
I'm
have a
voting
dollar
for him.
bet that Bernie's not going to be the candidate?
Well, it doesn't really matter, Rick. The point is this. Right now, Bloomberg is trying to steal the election for the Democrats. He's trying to buy his way in. And the Democrat Party is doing everything they can to help Bloomberg to stop Sanders.
How are they helping it?
Well, they changed the rules so he could be in the debate stage.
So
They changed.
So they let a guy go on TV for an hour, 2 hours.
Yeah, but they didn't let Tulsi Gabbard. They didn't let quite
Yeah,
a
they-
few candidates get on that stage.
She's been on stage. The rules change every time.
Well, look, Rick, here's the point. They have these super delegates that
I know
voted-
in 2016 they had super delegates.
and those delegates gave the election to Hillary, and it should have been Bernie, and now it's
No,
going
it shouldn't. She beat him. She got tens of millions more votes than he did.
All right, my point is this. Your party is desperate because it looks like a communist is going to get the nomination.
Well,
If he doesn't get it, it's going to make his supporters become radicalized, and they're not going to support you the way you want to. So you're between a rock and a hard place. You're either going to lose Sanders supporters, or you're going to have a communist who's going to get trounced by Trump. So what are you going to do?
well, I don't know the difference between. I actually do know the difference between communism and socialism, and he says he's a socialist.
Yeah, there's
Which
no
is-
difference. That's another thing that socialists lie about. It turns out there's no difference. If you're a socialist, you're a communist.
Well, I don't wanna-
There are people that make these technical distinctions, and the only reason they make those distinctions is because they're special pleaders for socialism.
Well, why don't you? But if he calls himself a socialist, why don't you just go ahead and call him a socialist?
Because he goes to communist countries and says how great they are. He's a communist. He's an old-fashioned Marxist. He's on record for decades supporting Marxist causes, being supported by Marxists and meeting with them and going to their countries. He's been extolling Marxism and communism his whole life. I can show you 100 articles right this second.
All right.
And that's what you're going to get because your party is radicalized. But the thing that I find most disappointing is that you'd rather vote for a straight-up communist than Trump because you think he's a vulgarian. That's not a good enough reason. Either you love America and you love capitalism and democracy, and you can't, you have to look the other way if you don't like his personal habits.
I'm so much better a capitalist than you are. I'm a better capitalist.
We've done this argument. Rick, the reason you're not voting for Trump is because you don't think he's cool. You've got no arguments whatsoever.
No,
he's
fucking corrupt and incompetent.
We have peace and prosperity. When you say he's corrupt and incompetent, you've got no facts. You've been telling me for 3 years he's a Russian spy.
But
how
many times this week have I said he's not a Russian spy? Just this week.
And how incompetent can he be if we have peace and prosperity?
Well,
you're voting against peace and prosperity for a communist.
The stock market is doing well. The stock market's been doing well for 12 years now. But
you're going to leave the country because Trump is what? Because he says dirty things?
Because he erodes.
If you don't get a communist to be president, you're going to leave the country.
I'm going to look at options.
Because you'd rather have a communist as president, and you're willing to leave the country if you can't. Because it's so unpalatable to live with this Russian spy in office.
Trump controls all three, at this point, is getting increasing control over all branches of government. He's appointing a gazillion judges. His party controls the Senate. If that continues, then I think that standards I think things will continue to decay in America, and I'm going to look at options. Yeah.
In what way is he harming America? Time's up. I'm going. I'm out. Good night.